But let's focus then on England against Wales. I mean, the scenario for England is very, very clear, and I would say very, very easy to get through to the last 16. All they have to do is not lose by 4 goals or more to Wales, and they'll be guaranteed a spot in the last 16. So obviously, Gareth Southgate and England's players, they've been criticised after the very lacklustre display against the US, where they seemingly just played for a draw and didn't attack at all. But with the scenario in hand here, maybe you can understand why. But they know if they beat Wales, they finish top of the group. And that is, that was always going to be the aim for them. So what do you guys think about this England team? Have we changed our opinion? Because, Andy, it's been 2 really weird performances against Iran. They hammered them. Everything went in. Everything was looking pretty good. And then a few mishaps at the back. And then against the US, nothing really inspiring in midfield or going forward, but at least Stones and Maguire looked solid at the back, and they looked, somewhat cohesive as a unit defensively. So kind of a mixed bag for England so far. And I can tell you the natives over here in England are not delighted so far because they have a very, very short memory and they can only remember the last game.
Yeah, I feel real bad for England that they're going to have to probably make some changes to the team and bring in Marcus Rashford to the starting lineup, probably Jack Grealish to the starting lineup, maybe some Phil Foden in the starting lineup, Kyle Walker, Jordan Henderson, these types of players to come into the team. And obviously, this is why you have a strong squad the way that England does, even with the injuries. And so I don't look at this game as anything that needs to be a worry. I do want to see progression, though, from this team. And we talked a little yesterday, I think it was yesterday. At this point, all the World Cup days and games have just blended together. But we talked a little bit about how Greg Berhalter approached the England game being the second game and how he really clearly prioritized it. And the more I look back on England's performance or non-performance, I guess you could say, against the U.S., I almost wonder if the game plan was just, let's show absolutely nothing. Let's do nothing. Let's try to make this as kind of as simple and elementary of a game as we possibly can. And because at some point in this tournament, they will have to do that against a better team than them if they're going to go on and win it. And so I don't know. This is a weird tournament, and maybe I'm just trying to explain away a bad performance. But that cannot be who England are at this World Cup. There's simply too much talent.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think part of it as well, I remember listening to Gareth Southgate post-game after they beat Iran 6-2, and all he could keep talking about was the defensive mistakes that led to a late penalty and 2 late goals, and how we have to really hammer that out and correct those mistakes. And then I think there is maybe the days of training after that, you focus so heavily on the defensive parts of the game that as players, you almost forget about the 6 goals you scored and how flowing and free-flowing it was, and you're really focused on just stamping out those mistakes to make the manager happy. So they did that, but they went too far that way, really. So now it's going to be interesting. They're dubbing it, every headline here is the Battle of Britain against Wales, because we know that Wales, for them, they need a win against England. And if Iran, USA ends in a draw, then they're through, right, to the last 16. So all hope is not lost for Wales. But it is pretty slim order for them, Nick. And you and I were chatting about this earlier. I was bigging up Wales before the tournament, but by their own admission, all their players are saying, we've been terrible. We don't know what's happened here. This is the worst we've played back-to-back in games for a long time. And they've been so disappointing, haven't they? And they deserve to lose to Iran last time out.
Yeah, and I think if England doesn't beat them, let alone beat them in a comfortable manner, then you've got way more problems than any of us thought at any point in this tournament. I've been so disappointed in Wales. Turns out having your marquee guy in Gareth Bale go overseas and play off the bench in MLS for 6 months, for the most part, isn't the best thing. Turns out Aaron Ramsey's sort of nomad status, if you will, around Europe has not helped him much at all. They have a bunch of nice complementary pieces and no one to play off. And that's what worked when Ramsey and Bale were at their very best, is these other guys would get you. And right now they seem to be asking the other guys to be the focus. And I just can't see that working out for them. And honestly, if they were to get a draw, I would consider it a victory.
It's really interesting. I learned this today. This is the first time in World Cup finals history that 2 of the home nations, as we call them here in the UK, are actually meeting. So just think of all that history, and then think of all these little towns that are along the imaginary borderline between Wales and England, because there isn't one. You have no idea really until the road signs, the language change when you drive 10 minutes down the road. But there'll be little pubs there dotted along the Welsh-English border tomorrow, and there'll be a lot of fun there for sure. Let's put it that way. Whoever gets the bragging rights, that'll be very important in that part of the world. And if Wales pull it off somehow, I'd want to go to Cardiff for that party. That is for sure. I'm not sure if I'll be welcome though, as an Englishman. All right, so head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest news around Groups A and B as we get to that finale in day 10 of this tournament. It's the first time we're seeing multiple games played at the same time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll have all the stream information, everything you need, analysis and reaction. This is going to be really fun, gents. And this is now the business end of the group stage. And we think we've had fun so far. This is going to be absolutely crazy.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.